But in the meantime, we want to continue our team coverage with Craig Cheatham this morning. He is joining us from outside of the hospital there. We just heard some brand new information from doctors and officials there. Craig, what do you know?
Tamika, 28 people, all presumed to be injured injured or shot as a result of that shooting down in the Oregon Historic District, were brought to local medical centers. 28 people, a half dozen medical centers. Half of those victims, 14, came right here to Miami Valley Hospital. The doctors who spoke at that news conference that wrapped up just a few minutes ago said that most of those injuries were to extremities, arms, legs, feet, hands. They didn't say specifically, but they wanted to emphasize that the people were not seriously injured. There is one patient here who is in critical condition. Overall, 4 patients at local hospitals are still listed in serious condition, but a dozen of the 14 patients who came here were treated and released, and the hospital officials who held that news conference felt very good about the way their medical team responded, especially during that initial rush when they say virtually all of these patients, all of these gunshot victims arrived with basically no advance notice, some of them coming in police cars and arriving wounded at the emergency room's front doorstep, if you will. But they say that their plans, their preparation, and the execution was outstanding. And within an hour, they were able to accept trauma patients from other parts of the city that had nothing to do with the shooting in the historic district. Back to you.
All right, Craig, thank you so much. And of course, there's lots of praise and commendation going out to the police department there. They were on that scene. You know, they were able to get the situation under control within a minute. If you can imagine that, they were able to actually neutralize the threat within a minute. And 9 on Your Side has a team coverage this morning, continuing now with 9 on Your Side, the morning Tri-State anchor Julie O'Neill. She is there right now, right near the scene, talking to witnesses, talking to people that were there, that saw all of this unfold. Julie, what kinds of things are you hearing this morning?
It's gotten really quiet, Tamika, and just to set this up for you, right behind me, we're shooting down the street right here where it all happened, and you see an outer perimeter here, and then beyond that is the inside perimeter. It's on the other side of that second circle of tape that all of this took place outside a bar, and back behind it where this gunman opened fire, and as we heard from an eyewitness earlier, indiscriminately, men, women, old, young. It was just a matter of opening fire in that short amount of time and getting, doing as much damage as he could in that moment. So at this point, I believe most of the witnesses from the scene have been interviewed, and it's gone a little bit quiet. But over here to my right, your left, you'll see basically what is like a Winnebago type vehicle where you're seeing officers from various agencies going in and out, assisting with Dayton police as they learn everything they can. They're going to have to go through all of the statements that they've been through and share information. They're going to have to determine where they need to visit next, be it the home of the gunman or neighbors or friends. They're going to get everything they can. And all of that at this point is not because there's an immediate threat necessarily, but to prevent something like this in the future and hopefully get into the mind of the person who caused this trauma this morning. Over here to my left, your right, you see one of 2 churches that are, within 100 yards of me. And we've been hearing the bells go off at the top of each hour. There would have been church services today, but now they're part of a crime scene. And so there will be no prayer inside those churches today because they're at a standstill until police finish their work out here. We did see a couple of women walk down with coffee and water. There are people turning out to, try to offer their support to those who are out here in the midst of this. I do want to go to some of the interview we had just a little while ago with Anthony Reynolds. He lives in the Huber Heights neighborhood, about 10 minutes from here. He was out at this bar and saw everything.
We leave out the bar. They still have a heavy line of people trying to come in. By the time we got to the end of the line, where we were passing the end of their line, you just heard a gunshot. And we looked around, and we was like kind of just looking around like, okay, what's that? And then we hear another one. And then after you hear the second one is when it just went rapid.
And so as I spoke more with Mr. Reynolds, he said initially he was looking for his family and his friends and basically pushing people out there saying, we got to get out of here, we have to go, and trying to clear the scene. And his mind went right to warning people not to come to the area. So he immediately got onto social media, was one of the first people to warn others not to come out to the area. All of this, as you've mentioned, Tamika, happening in less than a minute. And so fortunate that there were so many officers out here as part of their regular patrols with thousands of people out on a Saturday night enjoying a festival. Tamika?
Now, Julie, thank you so much for that update. And certainly the mayor even talked about this, saying that it's just amazing that, 9 people killed in less than a minute, 26 people injured. To imagine if this had just gone on another 30 seconds, what might have happened. And just earlier this morning, the president tweeted about the Dayton shooting, saying, quote, the FBI, local and state law enforcement are working together in El Paso and in Dayton, Ohio. Information is rapidly being accumulated in Dayton. Much has already been learned. In El Paso, law enforcement was very rapid in both instances. Updates will be given throughout the day. God bless the people of El Paso, Texas. God bless the people of Dayton, Ohio. And we're also hearing this morning from Ohio Governor Mike DeWine, who is from the Dayton area. He issued the following statement.